The moment I realized my relationship was built on lies didn't happen during a fight. There was no screaming, no dramatic breakup scene, no obvious betrayal. It happened on a quiet Tuesday night, when I found a phone that didn't belong to me. Or at least, a phone I had never seen before. And the message on that screen would end up destroying a 3-year relationship in about 10 minutes. But I'm getting ahead of myself. My name is Daniel. I'm 32 years old, and until about 6 months ago I thought my life was pretty stable. I worked in IT for a healthcare company, had a decent apartment in Phoenix, and a girlfriend I had been living with for almost a year. Her name was Emily. From the outside, we looked like one of those couples who had things figured out. We weren't constantly posting on social media or pretending everything was perfect, but we had routines that felt comfortable. Friday takeout nights. Sunday morning coffee runs. The occasional argument about whose turn it was to clean the kitchen. Normal relationship stuff. Emily was the more emotional one between us. I was the calm, analytical type. When something went wrong, my brain automatically started building timelines and explanations. That personality trait is the only reason I figured everything out. Because the first red flag wasn't dramatic. It was small. About 2 months before everything fell apart, Emily started acting weird about her phone. Not in an obvious way. Just small habits that didn't exist before. She started taking it everywhere. Bathroom, shower counter, kitchen, even short trips to the mailbox. At first I didn't think much of it. People get attached to their phones. But then I noticed something else. She started flipping the screen face down whenever it buzzed. And every time I walked into the room while she was texting, the conversation ended instantly. One night I joked about it. Secret government work? I asked. She laughed a little too quickly. Just group chat drama. That answer sounded normal enough, so I let it go. But my brain logged it anyway. The second strange thing happened about 3 weeks later. Emily left her phone on the kitchen counter while she went to shower. It buzzed while I was making coffee. I wasn't trying to snoop, but the notification lit up the screen. And I saw the contact name. Jason. Now normally that name wouldn't mean anything. Except I knew exactly who Jason was. He was her ex. The guy she dated before me. The guy she had described multiple times as ancient history. Still, I didn't jump to conclusions. When Emily came back into the kitchen, I asked casually, "Jason texting you again?" She froze for half a second. Then she grabbed her phone. "Oh, yeah. He just had a question about some concert tickets from last year." Her tone sounded casual, but something about the way she avoided eye contact bothered me. Again, not proof of anything. Just another detail. But details start adding up. Over the next couple weeks, the pattern got worse. More late-night messages. More secretive behavior. And something else I couldn't ignore anymore. Emily started leaving the apartment more often. Girls' night. Work drinks. Helping a friend. Which would normally be fine. Except she suddenly stopped inviting me. One Friday night she said she was meeting coworkers downtown. Probably home around midnight, she said. That night, around 11:15 p.m., I texted her. No reply. 30 minutes later, still nothing. Now I wasn't panicking yet, but my brain started doing what it always does. Building timelines. Then something weird happened. I was grabbing a blanket from the hall closet when I noticed something on the top shelf. A small black phone. Not Emily's. Not mine. Just sitting there. At first I assumed it was an old phone she forgot about. But when I picked it up, the screen lit up. It wasn't dead. It wasn't deactivated. It was very much in use. And the lock screen showed a message notification. From Jason. My stomach dropped immediately. Because the message preview said, "Did he suspect anything tonight?" For a few seconds I just stared at the screen. Because there are moments in life when your brain tries very hard to find a normal explanation. Maybe it's an old message. Maybe it's a misunderstanding. Maybe I'm overthinking. But deep down I already knew. Still, curiosity beat denial. And the phone, wasn't locked, which was strange. When I opened the messages, the conversation loaded instantly. And that's when my entire understanding of the last 2 months completely collapsed. Because the texts weren't casual. They weren't friendly. They were planning messages. Secret meeting times. Excuses to tell me. Photos. Flirting. And the worst part, a conversation from earlier that night. Jason. Same hotel as last week. Emily. Yeah. He thinks I'm with co-workers. Jason. Perfect. That was the moment my brain stopped looking for alternative explanations. Because there weren't any left. My girlfriend hadn't just been texting her ex. She had been meeting him. Regularly. Behind my back. And apparently, using a completely separate phone to do it. For a few minutes, I just sat on the couch staring at the messages. No anger. No yelling. Just this strange calm feeling that happens when something terrible finally makes sense. Then the door opened. Emily walked inside. And the second she saw the phone in my hand, her face went completely pale. Which meant one thing. She knew exactly what I had found. And about 30 seconds later, she tried to explain the lie. But what she didn't realize yet was that I had already read everything. And the story she was about to tell was about to fall apart piece by piece. For a few seconds after Emily walked into the apartment, neither of us said anything. She stood near the door holding her purse. I sat on the couch with the phone in my hand. And the look on her face told me everything I needed to know. Shock. Pure shock. Not confusion. Not curiosity. Just the exact expression someone makes when they realize the secret is over. Daniel, she said quietly. I lifted the phone slightly. You forget something. Her mouth opened, then closed. That's when I noticed something interesting. She wasn't asking what I had seen, which meant she already knew. I can explain, she said quickly. That line always fascinates me. Because when someone says I can explain, it usually means they're about to start lying. I gestured toward the chair across from me. Go ahead. She sat down slowly. I was going to tell you eventually. I nodded. That's great. Start with this part. I unlocked the phone and turned the screen toward her. The message thread with Jason. Her shoulders dropped immediately. Daniel. No, I said calmly. We're not skipping ahead. Then I asked the question that mattered. How long? Silence. So I asked again. How long has this been happening? She wiped her face. 2 months. Exactly the timeline my brain had already calculated. Same hotel as last week, I repeated quietly. She looked down at the floor. Daniel, it's not what it looks like. I actually laughed a little, which surprised both of us. Emily, you secretly bought a second phone to plan hotel meetups with your ex. I paused. I'm genuinely curious what part of that is supposed to look different. She started crying. I was confused. Ah yes, the classic explanation. Confusion that somehow leads to hotel rooms. So let me understand this, I said. You were confused, and your solution was lying to me every week? No, she said quickly. It just happened. I leaned back. Things that just happen usually don't involve burner phones. That shut the conversation down for a moment. Then I asked the next question. Did you ever plan to stop? Silence again, which is a powerful answer by itself. Finally, she whispered, I thought I still had feelings for him. That sentence ended the entire relationship. Not the cheating. The honesty. Because the truth is, cheating can sometimes be impulsive. But maintaining 2 phones and scheduling secret meetings? That's a system. And systems require effort. I stood up. Emily looked up quickly. Where are you going? To pack your stuff. Her eyes widened. Daniel, please, we can fix this. I shook my head. No. You can go stay with Jason. That sentence hit harder than I expected. She started crying harder. Daniel, don't do this. But the decision was already made. Within an hour, 2 suitcases were sitting by the door. She left around 1 a.m. And that was the last night we lived together. The next few weeks were messy. Blocking numbers. Dividing furniture. Awkward explanations to friends. Emily sent several long messages apologizing. I didn't respond. Because once someone shows you the entire system of lies, there's nothing left to debate. But here's where the story gets interesting. About 8 months later, I ran into one of Emily's old co-workers at a bar. And she casually mentioned something. Did you hear about Emily and Jason? Apparently, they didn't last long. Turns out when two people start a relationship through cheating, trust becomes a serious problem. Constant accusations. Jealousy. Phone checking. They broke up after about 6 months. Which means they destroyed a 3-year relationship. For something that didn't even survive half a year. Honestly, that's almost impressive. Meanwhile, my life moved on. New apartment. Better routine. And eventually something else happened. Peace. Because once the shock fades, you realize something important. The worst part of betrayal isn't losing the relationship. It's realizing the person you trusted wasn't real in the first place. Anyway, that's my story. Now I'm curious what you think. If you found your partner secretly using a second phone like this, would you ever forgive them? Or is that the kind of lie you can never come back from? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy dramatic true stories like this one, make sure to like the video and subscribe. Because, trust me, people make unbelievably bad decisions every single day. And sometimes those stories end up right here. About a year passed after Emily moved out. By that point, the whole situation had mostly faded into the background of my life. The apartment felt normal again. My routine was stable. Work was going well. And most importantly, the constant feeling of suspicion was gone. People don't talk about that part enough. When someone lies to you repeatedly, your brain starts questioning everything. Every late message, every change in plans, every unexplained moment suddenly feels like a potential problem. Living without that stress again felt surprisingly peaceful. Then one random Saturday afternoon, something unexpected happened. I ran into Emily. Not planned. Not dramatic. Just a completely accidental encounter at a grocery store. For a second, we both froze in the cereal aisle like two people who had just seen a ghost. She looked different. Not physically, really. Just tired in a way I didn't remember. "Hey," she said quietly. "Hey," I replied. There was an awkward silence for a few seconds before she spoke again. "I heard you moved to a new place." "Yeah," I said. "Closer to work." She nodded slowly. Then she said something that honestly surprised me. "I'm sorry." Not dramatic. Not emotional. Just simple and direct. And strangely, I believed that she meant it. But apologies don't undo choices. So I just nodded. "I hope you're doing okay," I said. She gave a small smile. "I'm trying." That was basically the entire conversation. No arguments. No dramatic closure. Just two people who used to share a life, standing in a grocery store aisle like strangers. When I walked out of the store a few minutes later, I realized something interesting. I wasn't angry anymore. Not because what happened was okay, but because holding on to anger for that long just becomes exhausting. Emily's choices had already cost her the relationship. Jason was gone. Our life together was gone. And honestly, that was consequence enough. Sometimes karma isn't dramatic. Sometimes it's just living with the reality you created. Anyway, that's the final update to the story. But now I'm curious about something. If you ran into an ex who betrayed you like this, would you accept the apology? Or would you just walk away without saying a word? Let me know what you do in the comments. And if you enjoy stories about relationships, betrayal, and the strange ways life works out afterwards, make sure to like the video and subscribe. Because, trust me, the truth behind people's relationships is usually a lot more complicated than it looks. A few weeks after that grocery store encounter, something else happened that I honestly didn't expect. Emily sent me one last message. Not a long paragraph. Not another emotional apology. Just a short text. Thank you for being kind when you didn't have to be. I stared at that message for a while before responding. Because the truth is, part of me wanted to ignore it. After everything that happened, silence would have been the easier option. But another part of me realized something. Closure doesn't always come from winning an argument or proving someone wrong. Sometimes it comes from simply letting the past stay in the past. So I replied with one sentence. I hope you find what you're looking for. And that was it. No more messages after that. No more updates. No more drama. Just two people who once shared a life, now moving in completely different directions. Looking back now, the strangest part of the whole story isn't the cheating. It's how normal everything felt before the truth came out. We had routines, plans for the future, inside jokes, all the little things that make a relationship feel real. And then one hidden phone revealed that the reality I believed in wasn't actually the full picture. But here's the part that took me the longest to understand. The betrayal didn't destroy my life. It just removed the wrong person from it. And once that happened, everything slowly started getting better. New opportunities, new people, a completely different sense of peace. Sometimes the worst moment in a relationship is actually the moment that gives you your freedom back. Anyway, that's the real ending to this story. Now I want to hear your thoughts. If you discovered your partner had a secret phone like this, would you confront them immediately? Or would you keep investigating before revealing what you knew? Tell me in the comments. And if you enjoy these kinds of dramatic true stories, make sure to like the video and subscribe. Because, trust me, some of the most unbelievable relationship stories start with something very small. Like a phone that was never supposed to be found.